The New Orleans Saints started off as one of the least successful NFL teams in history. Fans, coaches, staff, and the many players that walked through this organization had rarely seen success, but only disappointment. But in 2009, it was our year. The story of the 2009 world champion New Orleans Saints. That season, it felt different for the city, the fans, and for the organization. With the addition of key players and coaches, it was destined to be a great season. Starting off the season with 4-0 record, the city of New Orleans was revamped. Everyone knew it was finally our time. The Saints started off playing teams who were good, but not up to the full challenge. Playing teams like the Giants, the Jets, Eagles, and the Lions in some games that would be blowouts. These Saints seemed for real, but everyone wasn't on board yet, and they had to prove it just beyond a few games. With strong leaders like Drew Brees, Jonathan Vilma, and of course, Coach Sean Payton, the Saints were a force to be reckoned with. Later in the season, the Saints still managed to close out games and still remain undefeated. There were games that had everyone biting their nails, like the games against the Dolphins and the Redskins, which gave the Saints a beating in the first half. But ultimately, because of faith, hope, and determination, the Saints came out on top. Even beating out division rivals Atlanta, the NFC South was taken by a storm. One of the toughest battles came against the New England Patriots, who had Tom Brady. The Saints were up to the task and exceedingly passed the test, and then everyone gave these Saints a new level of respect. With a still unbeaten record, the Saints were on top of their game and at the top of the league. All that was left to do was beat out the remaining teams on the schedule, but perfection didn't prevail long. With a tough loss to Dallas, a missed field goal against Tampa, and a season-ending loss to Carolina, the Saints were now on a losing streak and going into the playoffs 13-3 with home field advantage, but no momentum. Or so they thought. The Saints blasted the Cardinals in a blowout game at home for the first round of the playoffs. Next was the NFC Championship game against the Vikings. A hard-fought battle that went into overtime and had everyone on the edge of their seats. It was then all up to one kick, a kick that would either mean we're in or we're out of the first ever Super Bowl appearance. And it's good! Hell had frozen over and the Saints were in the Super Bowl. The city, the players, the fans rejoiced, but it wasn't over yet. Only one more game, the game of a lifetime, the game that could change everything. The challenge wasn't easy, as the Saints faced Peyton Manning and the same regular season record Colts. The Colts dominated the first half and showed the Saints' lack of experience in a big game with everyone watching. But in Peyton we trust. Coach Peyton shocked the world and started the second half with an onside kick which was recovered by the Saints, and the rest is history. The Saints were a new team after that, overpowering and fighting for every ball, every yard, and every inch. The game was sealed with a pick six from Tracy Porter, and it was over. The Saints were world champions. Never had anyone thought they could ever do it, but they did, and they were champions. The players and coaches celebrated, and they felt the cries, the shouts, the joy as they lifted that Lombardi trophy, which lifted a whole city that had once been in the waters and lifted it to the skies. Never had anyone dreamed or imagined. The fans flooded the streets of New Orleans and rejoiced, for it was finally our year. The New Orleans Saints were Super Bowl champions. The end, and who dat?